research project grant.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
might
Or if you
start
have
to
previous
ask-
CIHR, I
yeah,
assume that.
then they start to ask questions.
Yeah.
But I guess 2 years ago now, we had Wendy McCall from St. FX apply under this rule. And she had looked at computer science modeling, and she decided she wanted to look at using care flow modeling, so modeling a person's path through the healthcare system. She hadn't worked in anything related to health previously, but that was where she wanted to go with her computer science applications, and that was accepted. And she's she's got a CFI, she's got multiple grants now. I mean, this is within 2 years. She's made a significant shift in her focus. I've actually seen most of these, in my personal experience, have been in the computer science area. I recall one that's more of a basic science, as you're describing, is shifting from area of interest into a more health-related component. Any other questions related to the health research or the CHRP, the project grants? And we can certainly come back to it, but I want to move on to the student awards. NSHRF has student research awards looking at supporting excellence amongst health research in students. We offer these supports at the master's, PhD, and postdoctoral levels. Our board has required that we place an emphasis on funding master's and PhD students. So the bulk of our student funding must go to those two categories. The postdoctoral awards, we offer generally 1 to 2 per year. So it's very competitive, but that's the criteria that we're currently working under. The registration deadline for students this year is March 5th, and application April 3rd. And same as with projects, if you don't register, you can't apply. The registration process for your students is fairly straightforward. We look at their contact information, project title, a summary of their research, and the student's signature. If you have students who are thinking of applying, remind them that each supervisor can only supervise 2 students per level of study. So you can have 5 students apply that are being supervised by you, but if 3 of them are funded and they're all master students, you have a problem, because you have to make difficult choices, and they were funded in part because of your supervisory experience and environment, so they may no longer be able to receive the award if you get to that place. So you need to be very careful with that. Applications for students. Same basic setup as what we have for the projects, scaled down. They need the CCV validated for NSHRF for both the student and their supervisor. They need assessment forms. The assessment forms have to be from a supervisor and sponsor. They have to be sealed. There has to be multiple copies. Transcripts, they require copies of all of their academic transcripts, graduate, Canadian, international, all of them. If they're in a language other than English, they need to have an official translation with them. If there's any challenges around that type of thing, call Jennifer McNutt, who's the program manager, and she can see if alternate arrangements can be made. We have, in some cases, if there was no official translation, accepted the copy that St. Mary's would have accepted to admit the student. We've had a few challenges with some of the Asian applications and not having official transcripts, but we've worked around that. Ethics, again, the students don't have to have their ethics in place. They have to indicate which ethics approvals they'll need. They have a section on their training expectations, summary of their research, abstract, relevance. The research proposal is quite short, just 3 pages, and then they need a number of signatures. I wanted to spend some time on this section, just as you may be supervising students and providing advice to students. I took a look at our successful students, the ones that were particularly successful last year, and I also took a look at the St. Mary's students. And there's a few general pieces of advice that I'd offer, not to SMU specifically, but to all supervisors and students. So one of the key things that the reviewers are looking at is the supervisory environment. So the student picking the right supervisor for their project is pretty key, and the quality of the environment that the supervisor offers is also key. So supervisors may be senior scientists, and they may be early in their careers. If it's an early career scientist, the reviewers are looking to see that that supervisor can really support the development of the student. So if you're junior faculty, then when you're writing on behalf of the student, make sure you make clear, if you don't have a lot of publications or you don't have a lot of funding, make sure that the committee can see clearly, I'm in the early stages of my career. If you are more established, a late career scientist, and maybe you work at an institution like St. Mary's, primarily undergraduate, got heavy teaching load, you may have other types of administrative responsibilities that your peers at more graduate level or graduate focused universities may not have. So again, make sure it's clear to the reviewers. I have a full course teaching load, I have these administrative responsibilities, this impacts my productivity in this manner. I ensure that all the students I supervise get this level of support, those types of things. Just make it clear. The committee seems to the committees seem to receive that very well. If it's clear that it's an early career scientist that has a lot of potential and gives quality support, they receive that just fine. I noted that even some of our top-ranked students are cautioned on their research environment. So it's a very important component of a student's application. Another element is our students apply at different stages in their careers. When I did my master's at St. Mary's, it was a 2-year program. There are several other 2-year programs still out there. And if you're applying from an undergraduate degree for NSHRP funding, you're not going to have the kind of research track record you might if you were in the 2nd year of a master's program. But the committee looks at the stage that the student is in. So if somebody is just leaving an undergraduate degree, they don't look for the same level of publications. They don't look for oral presentations and poster presentations at research conferences. But it's important for those students that their supervisor and their sponsor speaks to their health research potential. Encourage them to get a sponsor who knows their academic potential well. Their supervisor may be a complete stranger to them, right? Because if a student is coming here from another institution, you may only have met them or received their application. You don't know their research potential. Make sure they get a sponsor who does know their potential and speaks to it clearly in their support letter. Let's see. Another area that there were several cautions to students around was the topic area was academic excellence. And again, if you're a student in the 1st year of a master's degree, 1st year of a PhD, what have you, and you want to undertake a qualitative research project, and you've got no qualitative methods course on any of your transcripts, the committee wants to know, how are you going to get the skills you need to do this project? Looking at Jamie, I think about the whole geomatics discussions that we had earlier in the fall. So you want to do a project using geomatics as one of your main tools. How do you know how to use the material? Where are you going to get that training? So the student needs to clearly say in their application, my research project is focused on qualitative analysis. In the winter semester, I'm taking a half credit from Dr. So-and-so in qualitative methods. Then in my 2nd year, I'm going to start my methods right up for my research project. Perfect. You're covered. They understand what your plan is, that the student knows what their needs are and has a plan to address them. Are there any questions around the student applications as a potential supervisor or a potential student or someone offering support?
Meredith, the issue of the supervisory environment, was that new last year, or is it being upgraded this year